Yogi, hello.
Good morning. Good morning. What's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
so
just chilling.
touch on a little bit on how you got into the Columbus Fashion Alliance. What's your purpose? What about that and community
Yeah.
is tied into that passion?
When I first really realized the wealth of talent and the industry that we have in Columbus around fashion and the business of fashion, I mean, not even just the most recent with the retailers, like we've had generations and waves of influence across the country and across the globe. So we were a big manufacturer of like women's apparel and women's dresses. And then we started, specialty retail was birthed in Columbus. The way we shop today, a lot of that was driven by brands that were birthed right here in Columbus. And so, understanding that and then understanding the cultural context of fashion brings everybody together. Whether you're fashionable or not, you put on clothes every day. So fashion is something that everybody, whether they say they're fashionable or into fashion or not, they're a part of. So once I realized that we were this huge hub for it, instantly my brain just couldn't stop focusing on the fact that this could create a lot of opportunity for people if we embraced it as a city. And I think that's what got me started on it. And I started doing some research. I just wanted to make sure that I was thinking the right thing. So I did qualitative studies, quantitative studies. I knew that if I was going to approach any leadership in the city, I had to have my ducks in a row. And so we did those studies and I was able to put together a strategy called the Columbus Fashion Initiative. And so that strategy really was the blueprint for how does Columbus embrace fashion as culture and who it is and who we are as a city. And then how do we use that to create opportunity for others, especially people in underserved communities where fashion is more than just lifestyle. It's pride. It's influence. It's opportunity. So we can do so much for so many through this creative hub, and it's not just the design side of it, the business side. There's the whole STEM aspect to it. There's engineering. There's business aspect. There's marketing. There's all of that. Travel and tourism. There's all of that stuff. So I got on that on ramp, I guess, in 2017, and 7 years later, we're really starting to open up the eyes of a lot of people here in the market and outside of the market. Actually, we're starting to really make some progress, but we're still just scratching the surface. At the end of the day, when we talk about funding and things like that, it's great having a great network, but there's a very few people, very few organizations that actually step up to the plate. Because they see the vision, and I think it's changing day to day. We're doing more. We won't stop advocating for it, but it's not easy. It's not easy, especially when you're somebody from the community who doesn't hold a position, right? I don't hold a position at city, county, state. So it's harder from the community up. But I feel like that's the best way you have to do it. You have to build it from the community up, and you just need leadership to be a part of that. So we're raising funds, buying buildings. We're trying to build ecosystem. A lot is happening right now. It's exciting.
What's the biggest challenge that you faced or face now in spite of
Well,
all those positives?
right. Despite all the positives, again, when you're thinking about economic development, at the end of the day, what I feel like my mission and what I'm bringing my talents to is really the strategic part of this thing. Is that you can have the cultural pillars, but unless you have, everybody on board, it's hard to make it a catalyst, right? It's hard to take it to the next level. And through going to different cities and seeing where other cities are getting that you have to invest into culture, right? And you have to invest into culture that's authentic to you. And you have to build that ecosystem with the people. And that, matter of fact, there's a Bloomberg article, I think, I'll send it to you, but there's an article from Bloomberg where there's a study that's done to where it says that economic opportunity in the city is driven by arts and culture. And so they used to think it was top down. They think that, oh, if you develop it, then you attract creativity and aspirational people and all of that. But it's actually been proven that it's the other way around. And it's usually that those young, creative, ambitious people that want to change the world, right? When they find space for them and they get to do what they do, then that creates energy. That energy attracts other people. Those other people attract commerce. That commerce builds community. And next thing you know, you have a thriving neighborhood. You have a thriving community where economic development is for everybody. And cities that understand that and they invest into that culture, they get it right. They've seen transformation that happened in Indianapolis with amateur sports. It happened in Detroit with the automobile industry. It's happened in OKC, in Denver, and Chicago. There's a lot of cities, Nashville, Austin, you know, no, not Seattle, Oregon. There's certain cities where they've discovered, whether it's honky tonk music, whether it's bourbon in Louisville, they found what cultural pillars are uniquely theirs, double down on that, and they've also invested into the cultural pillars of their city, and that creates that transformation. So for us, it's hard to do that from the ground up when you need larger investment to build the assets that you need to turn your city into that magnet for culture.
We talk about economic impact of arts and culture, and it's, I don't know if you've experienced it, but it's the kind of eyes glaze over, rolling of the eyes of like, yeah, 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 yeah. So I say, we've got to reframe our story to resonate. And I'm all about this renaissance of relevance. And if we
Uh,
can show the relevance of all art and culture and how it impacts everything, we'll get those resources and revenue to be sustainable. So having said that, how do you define the art, or how do you define art, and where do you see the opportunities to advocate in a way will resonate greater in a greater way
yeah,
beyond where we are today?
yeah, well, the way that I define the arts really is just the essence of creativity. Everything, I mean, everything around us is created and designed and created out of a creative space in somebody's mind. You know what I mean? Everything from, this neon behind me to the design of your glasses to this hat to who designed these headphones. Like there's a creative person behind everything in every industry. So this act of creativity is what I deem as the arts, right? Whenever you're able to tap into that creative side of your brain and create something out of nothing. And this is the big differentiator between, the human race and all of the other stuff around us, is that it's hard to predict unpredictability, and humans are unpredictable because we have the ability to think outside the box. And that is the essence of the arts, is the expression of that out of the box thinking, that creative mind being able to run wild and say, I want to manifest what creatively is in my head. And so the arts are all around us. And that's how I define, the arts. Now, as far as how do we be able to get to that next level, I believe we have to start showing that economic impact of the arts and culture. And as I was talking about reading with that article and what conversations me and you had before, there is a definite economic impact, and some of the biggest cities are driven because of arts and culture. And it's been proven over and over. We see examples of it. And so I believe now it's our turn to show our leadership, our economic development partners, our civic partners, that there's a dollar associated with art move that's in this city, whether it's, transactional from commerce all the way to what people buy to what people travel here for, right? We have huge opportunities. And I think if we can start to paint that picture and be able to show that economic impact from the arts and from culture, then we can have a more fruitful conversation with those partners, and then we can start to coalesce and get together and actually move forward together and unlock the opportunities instead of it taking years and draining creatives' energy. A lot of creatives here in the market are drained because they have ambition, they have ideas, and there's only so many resources. But if they don't have, if there's not too much economic opportunity for them, they go to other places. They want to go to other cities. They want to go where they're maybe more accepted. So I think that's what we need to do.
So, describe some successful initiatives that the Columbus Fashion Alliance has integrated, or what are some programs that you are working on as it pertains to the alliance and integrating fashion into community?
Well, listen, we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot right now. We're starting off with building community. That was our first phase of this initiative, was just getting people together, just uniting the individuals, the companies, the groups, the creatives who all have a passion for this industry and getting them together more. So we've been doing that over the past 4 years. We started off in COVID. 2020 was our first year, which we all know how that happened, but we ended up making a lot of masks that year. But throughout the years, we've been building connections. I mean, we've done studies with Harvard, we've done studies with McKinsey, we've done summits, we've done events, we've partnered with, Experience Columbus, we've gone to Vegas to advocate, we've sent kids to college, we've started entrepreneurs, we got our own retail space now. So we are getting to the point where Columbus is starting to resonate outside of the bubble, and even in other cities like LA and New York, people are starting to hear from the industry that Columbus is, embracing their fashion, essence, that their fashion history. And so I feel like we're blessed, even though we've had, it's not been easy at all, and all of us on the team, all of us as are part of the alliance, from the retailers to the education partners to community members, we are all kind of in this together. And so it's been challenging to keep it moving forward, but our passion and drive keeps us moving forward, and we're seeing a positive response. When you have McKinsey, who does the State of Fashion report, come to your market and tell you that you have all of the assets needed to become a force in fashion, you pay attention. You know what I mean? You listen. And so, we've done some amazing things, but like I said, we're just really scratching the surface. There's a lot of potential here, and we're just trying to show people that.
So you mentioned in that you are sending kids to college.
Yeah.
Touch on that, because that's an area that I'm really interested in focusing on. Again, I'm shifting away from all the economic impact, and I want to get into the true social public value that the arts and creatives provide, which is workforce development. I
Right.
say you can't be innovative if you're not creative. What are some of those intrinsic benefits that those involved with your alliance are getting that spill over into community and make a community more prosperous, simply because we have a rich and vibrant creative or cultural scene?
Yeah. I mean, it's pipeline, it's pathways, right? It's being able to, the reason why, creatives move to bigger cities like Chicago and New York and LA and Miami is because they know that in their creative field, there's resources, opportunity, community, industry. They know there's an on ramp for them. You know what I mean? You go to New York, there's fashion high schools, right? Like there's even fashion elementaries and middle schools. So there's resources there. So I think here, one of the biggest things we believe is like creating those pathways. One, we know retailers, right? Retailers are looking for people to hire locally, but since the pathways aren't connected, they're hiring from outside of the market. And typically those people come here, they cycle out in 18 months, they're wasting dollars. But there's a ton of creatives here that would help some of these retailers like crush it, you know what I mean? And really start to own that. So we're really trying to help from exposure in school, getting more people exposed to the industry. You go to a lot of these schools and we talk to youth all the time. We're like, hey, do you know that you live in the third largest fashion industry in the country? No, they have no clue, no clue. So getting to them earlier, letting them know that there is another path for you, especially when people think, oh, it's just sports or it's just music. I want to be an artist, but what's out there for me? Like fashion is here, and it's only a few cities in the whole country that can say that, and we're one of them. So pathways, getting on that pathway earlier. We've had kids that have come to us young and thought that football was their way out, and now they're going to Kent State, and taking fashion and they're taking marketing. And so we're seeing, kids go to OSU that came to us and we help, nurture them and show them where, we're taking kids every summer on tours to CCAD, to OSU's, and showing them their fashion programs, taking them to other schools. So exposure plus technical skill plus professional development, all of those things that would help them have a better economic opportunity match, because they have the creativity, they have the style, they have the influence, all of the innate ability is there. But if we can help them round out those other things to help them prepare for the opportunities, then that's our work. You know what I mean? And so that's what we do. We're a convener. We bring in experts. We bring in the community. We bring in the culture, and we're creating spaces where all of that can like thrive. And that's our role, at the end of the day. So I think partnering, creating space, providing opportunity for those pathways, that's how you build stronger economic opportunity through the arts and culture.
If somebody walked in your office today and said, okay, Yogi, what are two things that you need to maximize what you just explained? And what I heard too is football is my only way out. I'm assuming you're talking about underserved communities where they don't even think about going to college for academics. It's like you got to do sports to get out or to make, a better life for yourself, or perhaps talking to someone who you once were.
Yeah,
What are two things that you need to maximize being able to contribute to community in greater way?
yeah, I think there's two things, but you made a good point though. Even before that, is that I'll come back to that question. Basically, there's two things that we need. You were saying, what are two things that we need to help like empower all of these things that we want to do, right?
Right.
Right.
I was touching on, you were saying you come across students who say football is the only way to get out.
Yes, football. Right, all right. So from that analogy, it's really if you look at our education system, especially in underserved communities, right? Like there's not too many programs. There's not a lot of skills programs. If there are creative spaces like Fort Hayes, right, or KIT, they have waiting lists, thousands of or hundreds of thousands of people long, right? So like there's only a few that get selected to go in those spaces. But if you look at our schools, there's different programs at different schools, they're trying their best to do that, but there's still a lot. There's not as much art in schools anymore. Skill trades and trade skills anymore. There's a lack of a lot of those. Like there's a lack of exposure, I should say. So youth are only going to be attracted to what they see. So if they only see sports in their school, right? If they only see music in their school, right? They got band and you got basketball. In our communities, if you're tall, people are gonna look at you and say, "I know you playing basketball, right?" Because they know that's an opportunity for you to get out. That's an opportunity for you to find success. So we only see success in the things that are in front of us. So if I don't have a chance to be exposed to fashion, if I don't have a chance to be exposed to public art, or I don't have a chance to be exposed to trade skills, then I'm not going to see those. So I'm either going to go to college because I'm smart, which everybody doesn't look at college as, especially younger generations, they don't all look at college the same way. So everybody's not looking at college that way. So if they look at other resources or other pathways around them, they're thinking, okay, if college is not it, what else I got? I got music, maybe entertainment, maybe influencer now, or sports. But exposure is the way that you open their world up to a lot of other stuff. And when you think about what you're into, this is why I advocate for fashion. Is because I look at it as fashion is that like book, right? They're interested in fashion, but for a lot of them, if they're not a creative, they don't realize that fashion is teaching them marketing, business, you know what I mean? Logistics. It's teaching them a lot of other things, but it's culturally, it's something that they're drawn to. So that's what I think is exciting about that. So when people come to us and they talk to us about what do you need, right? Well, the one is we need investment, and not investment just in the CFA. Like we need, and we named it the Alliance for that matter. It's not just about this office. The Alliance is us as a city, all of us coming together because we don't hold on keys. We're just like beating the drum, you know. But if our civic partners are at the table, if our retail partners are at the table, for instance, Indianapolis, when they looked at amateur sports for being their cultural pillar that they're going to build economy around, they all pitched in. The initial investment was $250 million, and they built state of the art facilities. They built new sports arenas. They brought the NCAA there. They have the combines there. They bring the Olympic trials there. So like they invested and they doubled, tripled down on that cultural pillar, and now it's their biggest economic driver. So if we really want to look at fashion and embrace who we are as a fashion city, because we are, then that level of investment needs to be, you know, citywide. It's not just us. It's not like give us money. No, let's all invest. Like let's support what we're doing, right? Which is connecting the dots, convening the industry. But let's build those assets like museums. Like we have archives of stuff from all the way to, the latest, from Abercrombie and things like that. We have all of this beautiful history. We could tell that more. So building the assets. And then the second thing is participation and access is what I call it. So for instance, We have to create stronger pathways. We have to work with the retailers, to work with the educators, to be able to give these, the next generation a clear pathway so that they don't go to LA, they don't go to New York, they don't go to even, other places in the region where they find opportunities at. We have to create and knock down those barriers that hold people back from living that here. So I think building more platforms, building more spaces for creativity and culture, not just fashion, arts, music. We need to build more spaces where it's incubated and where it's grown. So creating access, creating platforms is the second thing. If we can do those two things, if we can work on the access and the pathways and opportunities, and also come together and look at this economic investment because we know it will give us a return, then we're cooking. We're cooking at scale. We can do programs all day, but that's great. We're helping, kids find new pathways. We'll do that every day we get up. But if the city really wants to embrace its cultural pillar and turn it into its cultural pillars, I should say, and really amplify it, we need to do these types of things.
That's really great. I admire your drive and your passion and your tenacity because you certainly, and you're the right person for this.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank
So I like to round out my conversations with asking, what color do you love the most and why?
you. Hey, can we do something? Can you ask me that in 2 seconds? Because I got a question to ask you.
Okay.
I got a question to ask you.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right. So I'm gonna turn the tables real quick.
All
I
right.
saw a post from you. I saw a post from you just recently, and it was you and a news crew.
Yes.
You were, yeah, and you mentioned something about uh, Princess Diane's funeral,
Yes.
and I was like, "Holy crap! This is another side of Angela I did not know of." So you gotta tell me about this. What's the skinny on that?
Most people don't know that side of me. Well, did you know I was a reporter? Did you know I was in
No,
broadcasting? Okay.
no,
Yeah, I know. Most
no.
people,
I only know you from the arts.
yes, I have 9 lives, but they
Yes,
all
I
connect.
totally.
They all connect. So I too went to the Ohio State University and it was a political science journalism major, studied both and always dreamt about covering politics. And it just serendipity that I was in the right place at the right time when Princess Diana had died. They were looking to
Uh,
send someone to be a field producer, but also cover. So I
okay, yeah.
was sent long, long time ago. I was very fortunate. It was an amazing time. I have a long, rich reporting journalism background and politics. So
Well,
that's, you can see how those I
yeah.
now leverage to advocate for what I'm passionate about, which is our creatives and artists and the creative sector.
And you understand how it gets done, and that's the key. It's like how the sausage is made, so you're able to understand how to bridge the gap between the two. I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's really key. I mean, for me, I had an art gallery. I don't know if you knew that as well,
yeah.
but
See, I knew that part. I've been to the
yeah.
gallery many a times before.
Okay. Yeah, I that was like fish out of water. That now I look at was my real life practical education in arts and
The arts.
artists and nonprofit arts and what challenges they face and what they need to overcome and to be more sustainable. And so I gathered all of that information over the course of 6, 7 years and then rolled that knowledge into applying to what I um, my professional experience prior, which is politics and journalism. So I love
I love
telling stories. I love learning about people. And now I dedicate my time 24/7 to learning more about the arts and creatives and communicating that in effective ways that we can increase, again, relevance, resources, and revenue.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I want to tell you, thank you for doing all the work that you're doing too. You know what I'm saying? Because, even the conversation that me and you have, they're very fruitful. And I know you got some exciting programs that we're going to be a part of, and I cannot wait for that. So just thank you for doing that work, and thank you for bringing all of that history and knowledge together. You know what I mean? To be able to do what you do today, because it's needed. And if it's not for people like you who can help make these connections, you know what I mean? Who else is going to do it, right? And so, but I saw that picture on your post, man, and you was looking good. You was looking like you was really fresh faced, ready for your moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that
I
was a
love
long time ago.
it.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, listen,
For
okay,
sure. All right,
let's get back
let's
to
go to this.
you. Let's get back
Yes.
to you. Yes, what color do you love and why?
Okay. All right. So I love green. I love green. I love army greens. I love forest greens. I don't know why. I used to love red, and then I pledged alpha, and I just stopped wearing red after that. That was the whole thing. But I love colors. Like I can switch it up, but my go-to is green. I don't know why. I just love green. Yeah. I love nature.
So,
It's kind of like food, you know. You know how like when you're growing up, you won't touch certain foods, and then you get older and your palate changes, and you're like, Brussels sprouts are good. You know what I'm saying?
and they're
It's
green, and they're
yeah,
green.
and you can't, and you don't, and you can never, it just happens all of a sudden. You're like, oh, I actually like this now. You know what I'm saying? That's kind
Yeah,
of how it happens.
very cool. Well, green's my favorite color too, and I like
Well,
weird color greens. That must be why we get along so well. Yogi, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I look forward to watching your meteor continue to skyrocket.
hey, well, listen, I appreciate you, and let's do it together. You know what I'm saying? This is our movement, man. Let's help keep creating these spaces and places for creatives to thrive. So I appreciate you, and thanks for bringing me on. You know what I'm saying? I had a good time.
Absolutely. The renaissance of relevance. We're at it. You and me.
Let's get it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Thank you.
All right. Peace.